So we heard the map of why we're here and what we're going to do. I would like to say that this is special session just isn't that special, Mr. President. And certainly I believe it's wildly premature. We're going to address some issues here based on the possibility that something might happen that's not happening. On the idea that something is going to get cut. And so when we look at these things, when we look at the calls, the grand cuts to Medicaid, well, they're not happening. At least not for 18 months. So we don't need to be here now for that. And even if those cuts happen, what we know is that there's massive fraud, waste, and abuse in the system. And can we just find that? That would be worth studying and see what that is, what we're losing there. The same with the food insecurity and SNAP. We're here saying, oh, we need to maintain this level. Because of the cuts from the feds, we have to backfill. And yet our own staff, LFC, can look at this and say, we have an 18% error rate, which means 18% of the SNAP dollars that we're handing out aren't going to people that are eligible for them. Because something in their life has changed. They're making too much money now or something, okay? 18% error rate. And yet we're saying that we have to have a special session to backfill that, even though that is not being cut from the federal government. At least not now. What the federal government's doing now is saying, hey, we need to clean up our act and start moving forward. There's no emergency. Nobody's lost Medicaid today, or will they before January. Nobody's lost SNAP today, nor will they before next January, not this coming month, the next one after that. So, Mr. President, I do believe we're here very prematurely. But if we're going to have a special session, may I suggest that our special session address juvenile justice reform, because we need to hold accountability the young people that are increasingly committing violent crimes. We know that children, 12-year-olds, are being hired by the cartel to commit violent crimes because we won't hold 12-year-olds accountable because they're 12. So we need to address that. This is a big problem in the state of New Mexico. It's a big problem in Albuquerque specifically. And yet, we're not going to talk about that during this special session. Healthcare access. We've heard a lot about healthcare access. And we do, in fact, have a healthcare crisis right now. Our doctors are leaving. New doctors are not coming. Access to care is diminishing. And it's diminishing, and we know it's diminishing because our medical malpractice system has created a cost to the medical community that is unbearable. And they'll tell you that. And we've seen this. We had our own medical malpractice task force where people came before us and testified and showed us how much it's costing and what it means. We saw this. And we know this. We also know that we have to deal with our medical compacts. So there was an example just recently of someone who was an Air Force officer transferred to Cannon Air Force Base in Clovis. His wife is a doctor, but she can't practice in Clovis because we don't have compacts. We don't recognize that out-of-state license. Though we do recognize out-of-state attorneys' licenses, but not doctors' licenses. Interesting. We're not going to address that. CYFD reform. You know, right now we have a huge problem with CYFD, and one of the main things that we could be doing is having a standard that is in the best interest of the child. Right now our standard is reunification. Well, reunification in a bad situation is reunification in a bad situation. It doesn't fix anything. In fact, it puts our children at risk. And we know that because all too often we see how another child has died or simply been abused. We see that and it's heartbreaking. And for whatever reason, we won't address it. That's worth a special session. And then CARA reform, where CYFD can intervene when a child is born with drug exposure or addiction. How heartbreaking it is to have a brand new baby that's addicted to fentanyl. And we don't do anything about that. We give that baby right back to the same place where the fentanyl came from in the first place. Oh, these are heartbreaking. These things are worth a special session. And in fact, Mr. President, we have bills that will be read today coming from the Republicans to address all of this. And I would urge us to go ahead and take up these bills. Go ahead. Let's get them in the system and let's debate them. There's no reason that we can't fix these things now. We know what the problems are. We have the solutions. And that would make this a special session. But as it is, it just ain't that special, Mr. President.